This is Blow Up, when Liz Tilberis transformed Bazaar. You're listening to our bonus Q&A with Daryl Hannah. Knowing that you were the first non-model, the first actor that Liz put on the cover at a time when they weren't doing that, we just thought it'd be really interesting to talk to you about that.
Hopefully. I'm sure it will be.
I have to tell you, I remember when this cover came out, and I just thought it was so breathtaking and so beautiful. So can you tell us a little bit? Because at this point, you weren't doing a ton of press.
Well, yeah, I never did a ton of press.
Yeah.
So the thing is, for me, I'm fine in like talking to two people or one person. Like this situation is perfect, but any bigger than that, I get completely shut down. My nervous system just overloads, and I just can't function. So I never did talk shows. I never went to premieres. I never did all the stuff that they wanted me to do for movie releases. And so in lieu of that, I would do photo shoots because in a way it was like playing a character. You know, you dress up in a costume and hopefully they give you a character. If you're working with a great photographer like Helmut Newton or someone like that, they create characters and storylines for you to act out. So it was just like doing a movie. So in order to appease the studios, because I got blacklisted from quite a few studios because I wouldn't do the kind of press that they wanted me to do. I would do, the cover of a magazine or something, to get attention for the film. Yeah, because I want to support the films, especially if I enjoyed working on them and I think the product came out well, but
and even with a magazine shoot, it's a crew.
It's a crew, but a movie is a crew. But then when you're playing a character, you kind of forget about it.
Yes.
And what was funny about a lot of the magazine shoots, like not obviously the ones that I did with people like Helmut or Peter Lindbergh or Patrick Dumarchier, but some photographers, like I did a Vogue cover not very long before that. I mean, people would just dress me up in the most ridiculous things. And I mean, not only were they not characters, but they didn't look like me or feel like me. I don't mind not feeling like me. Trust me, I wanted to be someone else. That's why I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to live the lives through other eyes and not necessarily be recognized. But sometimes they would just make me look silly and
it can't
stupid.
be preposterous.
Yeah, it was preposterous.
Although I can't imagine you ever looking silly.
Oh,
but
trust me.
Okay. Well, Peter Lindbergh shot this.
Oh, Peter Lindbergh. I think that might have been my first time working with him. And I, of course, fell in love with him and his work right away after we shot this.
Because he's a storyteller.
Yeah, he's a storyteller, and he's also makes it very easy and comfortable. It was just very effortless. I have to say, to this day, this is perhaps my favorite shoot ever in terms of like just not necessarily playing a total character, but just looking like me, because it's just simple and natural and straightforward. And that's where Liz really shined. I mean, she really went for just a simple glamour. It wasn't even glamour. It was just like elegance, I guess.
Effortless.
Effortless elegance.
The photos of you inside do feel very much like you, the way you might dress.
Yeah.
Were you pivotal in choosing the clothes?
I was very comfortable in everything that they presented me with, which is not the case normally, where I'm just like, is there anything that I could put on that doesn't have fake nipples on it? Or,
oh, God.
I mean, just really...
Yeah.
over the top, like, I think that was just fashion in its struggling years between the 80s and 90s, trying to find its legs, which quite often it didn't, trying to be outrageous or whatever. But it was so nice to just be pure. There was something very pure about it. I can't even explain the relief and comfort that I felt from knowing that they weren't trying to mold me into something bizarre that I couldn't figure out how to get my head around. I love playing characters, like I love playing a role, and I lose myself in it. But if I don't have a role and I just have bizarre clothes, I can't find the role, or I have a weird, cone on my head, something. And if I can find the role, then I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Kind of like a badly written part, isn't it?
Exactly. There you go.
Well, I remember you came up to the offices, which was pretty special for all of us. Although, of course, nobody bothered you. But I wanted to.
That was exciting for me, too. I was really surprised. I didn't know there were, like, clothes everywhere and all. I mean, that was kind of a shock to me.
Did they bring you up there to try on clothes or talk about the cover?
I think it was just to say hello. And, I don't think it was really to try on anything.
Did you talk through ideas for it? Did it feel collaborative, or was there a discussion about the directions you might go?
Not really. I think it was just pretty obvious I was going to be looked after properly. I don't know how to explain that either. Like I said, I didn't have a publicist. I didn't.
Right.
Even back then?
Wow.
No.
Wow.
So how did people get in touch with you to do?
I had a manager that I had since I was 17 or so. And
wow.
I never had an agent even at that time, so I just...
Wow.
For you doing something like this, is it about comfortability with the photographer, or did you have any kind of relationship with Liz or any of the editors?
Really comfortability with the whole team, you know. I think that she obviously had a good relationship with her photographers, both Peter Lindbergh and other photographers she worked with, and I think she helped facilitate a comfortable atmosphere, so it just didn't feel like forced or awkward or tense. I mean, a lot of fashion photographers, as I'm sure you've both experienced, can be quite dramatic and thrive on negativity.
Especially back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Liz had such a sense of play.
Yeah, and a sweetness.
Yes, very
you know,
kind.
Yeah.
This was the first celebrity cover that Liz had done since the revamp in 92. That's why this also is very special. And this was also a time when fashion magazines, there wasn't a ton of celebrity coverage. You know, it was more models. So you being on the cover was a very big deal for the magazine because although you are more beautiful than a model, do you remember the meeting when you went up there and talking to Liz?
I do, yeah. I was kind of excited to see what the offices were like because I never did any of that kind of stuff. I really shied away from any kind of press, and so it was fun to see how somewhat chaotic in a funny way it was. You know, I didn't expect that, and it was exciting to see all of the feathers and colors and sparkles.
Was it unusual for an editor-in-chief to invite you into the offices?
For sure. I had never been invited.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So even when you had shot for Vogue, it just wasn't
No,
part
it was
of
like in a studio and a lonely experience in a way.
Oh, yeah. It's so like Liz to try to establish a rapport and want to bring you in.
I remember after that, I lived here for a while during that period, and me and my best friend here would make her cookies every Christmas and send her
to Liz.
Yeah.
Did you develop a little bit of a rapport?
Yeah,
with her?
I just felt comfortable with her, which was just unique. Yeah, and I would drop them off at her apartment.
Really?
Oh my God! I love that. Not a messenger. You personally would drop them off.
Me and my best friend, we would go around delivering cookies to people.
That's really, really nice. That says something about the kind of the relationship that you had. I mean, not that you knew her well, but just the rapport that you had. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good feeling.
So she had revamped the magazine in 92, and this was 93 when you were on the cover. Do you remember that?
I do,
You
yeah.
do.
I do remember it. I mean, in terms of having a visceral sort of impact on me, because it was just so clean and so sharp and so striking in such a clear, present, tangible way.
Yeah.
And it was quite different from, like I said, the other magazines that were pushing really hard to be fashion forward. It was not pushing so hard, but it was still exquisite.
I think it's hard to imagine if you weren't around at that time or in New York specifically, what a splash it made. Because Vogue had really been dominant for so many years. And obviously there were a few other things, Elle, Mirabella and such. But it just felt like Harper's Bazaar hit New York. And it was like the publishing story of the year, kind of.
It was the most gorgeous thing, absolutely, by far. It just changed everything by leaps and bounds. Usually you'd look to the European fashion magazines for that.
It was all about Italian Vogue back then, which was...
Although when we interviewed Fabian yesterday, he said something very interesting. He said it was like a European mag because it was filled with European editors. And photographers, yeah. And Peter shooting your cover was also very special because Patrick de Marchelier was shooting all of the covers. I think Peter had maybe done 2 covers before this cover with you. So this whole moment was extra special because we have this beautiful actress. We have Peter Lindbergh doing it, who doesn't usually do covers.
And doesn't usually do color,
Doesn't do color or wasn't doing color. And so we have you inside, you're in black and white, and then obviously the cover went color. I have to say it would have been spectacular in black and white too.
Did you have occasion to work with Peter Lindbergh again?
I did, yeah. I did,
really?
I think a couple times more. The last time I recall was a shoot. I think it was in Vogue, actually. It was like a anti-war demonstration or peace demonstration. That was the theme of the shoot.
Cool. And do you consider yourself a fashion person?
I mean, look at, I'm wearing vintage. I remember when one of my very first interviews at the Plaza when I was like, I don't know, 18 or something, and I had just done a movie, and they were like, who's your favorite designers? And I'm just like, I buy all my things at the thrift store.
It's interesting, isn't it? We put, I think, some pressure or expectations on actresses that they're going to be into that. Did you feel sort of a pressure to at least appear that you cared?
I think after the 90s, it really became where you had to be aligned with a designer, and also know who your designer was that you were wearing. And of course, since I don't even know who made anything that I'm wearing, it's so mostly thrift stores or vintage clothes. But I actually specifically did not want to do that because I don't believe in selling product. I don't like to play into consumer culture. So I decided not to do that. So when I did the Academy Awards and those things, I went and bought my own dress and styled
so you didn't
myself.
do the whole stylist thing.
No, never did.
I even
rented a dress from a costume shop once for the Academy Awards.
And did you feel, I mean, you sort of alluded to it, but was there a lot of consternation, let's say, from the studio or your team? Or were you just like, I don't care?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I have a very specific perspective on, I remember I was working on a film once, and I was working with this other actress who, a very successful actress, and she was on the back of the magazine that she was reading, and when we were rehearsing, I was like, why did you do that ad? Because I know she makes a good salary for her job. And she says, well, I like to see myself in the magazines. And then I was sort of confused by that because I was thinking, well, then do a photo shoot. But why would you choose to sell something that isn't necessarily good for people or pushes them to buy something that you don't necessarily actually use yourself or believe in? I mean, I did do one ad once because I was living here and my boyfriend at the time didn't want me to leave and go do a movie for 4 or 6 months, which is the time it took in those days. Now it's like, 6 weeks for a film usually. And he was like, you can't just leave. You just moved here. And I'm like, but I still have bills to pay. So I did do an ad that was for Karl Lagerfeld perfume. He was going to take the picture, and it was, in my opinion, it was like smelly water. So I did it for 1 year so that I could pay. I did one picture, but I didn't have to get a job to pay my bills for that year.
In the last 20 years, the advertising thing is out of control. I mean, huge stars are doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And really no one questions that.
And that breaks my heart, especially for young girls, because, it used to be that you would be exploited and you'd try to fight it, but sometimes you couldn't fight it. But now everyone is willingly take my clothes off so I can get sent some free goods by somebody and post it online or whatever. It's just, it kills me. It's just heartbreaking. And
I always feel like I sound a million years old to look back and go, I really miss before the phone. I really miss, I miss the magazine world. But I'm also conscious that it's easy to look back and romanticize. So I was wondering about your perspective as someone who is very much in the center of the New York scene, dealing with media and all of that stuff. Do you have a nostalgic feeling for that time?
I mean, certainly in terms of values, there was definitely more focus on art and artists rather than just exploitation and selling. But at the same time, I suppose the level of misogyny in the patriarchal system was so much stronger then, and I feel like we are starting to, chip away at it. I definitely don't think we've made as much movement as we hoped to, but it was pretty intense, and I think it was very gnarly for a lot of young models, for sure. I know that for a fact now because I've been reading and in touch with a lot of girls that I knew at that time who were modeling. Also for actresses, I mean, I can't even tell you, everyone wants to think it's only, Harvey Weinstein, and then it's all over, It goes
and it's
way
like,
deeper.
no, right. Yeah, right. There's so many. And I have to say, it's interesting, getting back to Bazaar a little bit. I had interned for Harvey Weinstein at Miramax, and then coming into Harper's Bazaar, I kind of expected to be screamed at.
Yeah, what was the difference?
I mean, to see a woman in power in that way who was really kind. She was just so sweet, and she would kind of try to engage and make you feel included. I mean, who does that in that environment?
Right.
And also, frankly, to see a woman, and it's sad that this was radical, but who is a size 10.
Right.
or whatever she
Right.
was, you know?
Yeah.
And wasn't
Normal.
right, exactly.
Normal
and
size person.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the crazy thing. It's like she was a normal woman and she
Yeah.
was gorgeous, but it was
Yes.
still like this seemingly radical act, which is so crazy. I felt like I had walked into kind of a dream. And actually, I think that I got really used to that and then was like shocked when I left Harper's Bazaar. I kind of got away from that. But
it was
anyway,
shocking. It was a different
Interesting.
world.
Yeah, it really was. She was exceptional in that way. Women can be really nasty
And
to other
women
women.
in that period of time, especially in the 80s, and when
Yeah.
women, with the big padded shoulders, and they had to be tough, and they had to try to be as hard as a man in order to be successful. And so there was a lot of that put on them. And of course, women can definitely be hard asses and bitches and everything, but at the same time, that there was a lot of pressure on women at that time. If you are going to be a boss, you have to be even tougher than a man.
It's interesting to consider that because she really was very much ahead in that way. I mean, I'm not saying there were like larger women in the magazine, but at least in terms of fostering an atmosphere that was more humane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she surrounded herself with really good people. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody at that magazine were like-minded and very kind. And
That's an amazing thing to do. I mean, that's the secret of life, really, if you can surround yourself with great people that you're working with.
And this was the 90s. This wasn't the norm
Yeah.
to be kind and sweet. So speaking of the 90s, you lived in New York in the 90s. You were here full time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Set up what New York was in the 90s in your view.
I mean, I was not a scenester, so I literally, go and roller skate around in the park and walk my dog, and I actually used to go pretty much every day and swim up in the swimming pool up in Harlem in Central Park, and I used to go ice skate up there too in the winter.
And people would leave you alone. You weren't followed by paparazzi.
I mean, occasionally, but I had that for so many years that I knew how to evade them pretty well. So I'm pretty clever about what places to avoid and how to skitch around.
But is fierce now, the paparazzi, or do you think it's
I
all
don't
dribbled away kind of because of Instagram and
I
everything?
think it's different now. I don't think it's quite as extreme as it used to be because everyone has a phone now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the 90s, it was worse.
I think so, but, like I said, I was used to it for a long time, so I really know how to,
Yeah. You're good at it.
It's an interesting period of time to talk about because I think it is kind of like, like a preteen era where people were kind of breaking out of the 80s. It was so confused and, like, what are we? And then the 90s kind of, I mean, really what you're talking about, the size of women and everything. I mean, not that long after we did this magazine, I think Kate Moss was discovered within that next year or so, and sort of the whole waif
yes.
and kind of
Grunge.
punk,
Yes.
grunge punk culture thing came in, but it was still aesthetically so much more pleasing in a way rather than sort of garish in the 80s.
We were talking about how bizarre it's the magic of it is that sort of salt and pepper of edge and elegance. And Fabienne was saying to us yesterday that he worked really hard to sort of smash unusual things together. So if you're going to use Kate Moss, then maybe you're bringing in, what was he saying, Patrick de Marchelier,
combining.
like glamour with something a bit
Yes.
edgier, and you'd get that wonderful edge, but it's also really gorgeous. And
Yeah.
I just love that. It's such a
Yeah.
great combo.
Oh, I have to ask you this one last thing, and we're not going to delve into it. You're going to have to listen to the podcast to find out why I'm asking you this.
Okay.
Are peonies one of your favorite flowers?
They are, and dahlias too,
Okay.
yeah.
So when you listen to this podcast, you're going to hear a story about you and that day that you came up to meet with Liz.
Oh my gosh, I
And
can't
the
wait.
acquisition of the peonies in preparation for your visit.
Oh no, really?
Because I don't know if you noticed, but there were a lot of peonies in Liz's
Oh,
office
my
when
gosh,
you came
that's
because
so
she knew that was your
We
favorite
hope you know
flower.
That is the sweetest thing I've ever heard.
No, it's a funny story behind
Oh
it.
my
so-
gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thanks again.
Okay,
It's
great.
so nice of you to do
Absolutely.
this. It
No
really
problem.
is.
This is my first podcast, so it's my
We are honored.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for subscribing. Blow Up is independently produced and ad-free. Your support makes that possible.
If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us. Wondering what some of the images discussed in the episode look like? Follow us on Instagram or TikTok at BlowUpPod.
Blow Up is hosted and produced by Dennis Golonka and me, Cynthia True. It was written and edited by me, Cynthia True. Original theme song is by Stephen Phillips. Sound design and mix, Eric Weiss. Sound and music editing, Tiger Lily Biscuit. The episode was recorded at Voice Tracks West, the Cutting Room and Digital Arts New York. Special thanks to Clay Morrow and Matthew Saver.